The Fast Times of Oscar Pistorius continues. Once again, Amy Robach.
Ever since his arrest, the Blade Runner has been huddling with a new kind of team. A team of defense attorneys with one goal in mind, exonerating the fallen sports star. At the bail hearing, Pistorius' defense team quickly goes on the offensive to discredit the evidence floated by the prosecution.
Defense team attacking them like a bulldog.
The defense went in hard. A good day for the defense.
These cases are difficult, and it comes down to who do you believe and what does the evidence support. And your lawyers never would advise you to lock yourself into a story unless there was merit to it.
Oscar's story. This sworn statement by Pistorius, now on record, detailing his version of what turned that February 13th night into tragedy. Oscar says it started as a low-key evening, and from the looks of that CCTV footage at the compound entrance, it was. Riva arrives and smiles at the guards. Then minutes later, Oscar drives through in his white BMW. Oscar says later that night, Riva was doing yoga exercises. He watching TV. She gave him a Valentine's present and says he promised not to open it till the next day. Then at around 10 p.m., the couple fell asleep in his second-floor bedroom. Returning to the scale model of Pistorius' bedroom constructed by 2020, defense attorney Joey Jackson walks us through what Pistorius says happened next.
So he says he was asleep and he woke up and decided to bring a fan in from open patio doors.
Absolutely. The patio doors were open. Now this is where things get interesting because it's at this time where there's a noise. He's on his stumps, remember, so that makes him vulnerable.
A large part of the defense will go to Pistorius' state of mind at that exact moment, living in dread in a country where private homes are fortresses. Pistorius had recently tweeted what it was like living in a mental state of siege. Nothing like getting home to hear the washing machine on and thinking it's an intruder to go into full combat recon mode into the pantry. Journalist Michael Sokolov witnessed Pistorius' apprehension firsthand in 2011.
When the security alarm in his house went off, I think his reaction was the same as it was every time he felt someone might be in his house. He grabbed his gun. That was something that he was in the habit of doing.
The defense says the exact same thing happened the night of the murder. A noise, a scare, and an instinctive reaction.
So he goes to get his gun.
He keeps the gun right under the bed. So he goes and he gets that gun.
And yet it's quite a distance to walk from the bedroom to the bathroom. The prosecution suggests he had enough time to think about it.
The defense would suggest that what he's thinking about is self-preservation.
And then he turns the corner and sees that.
Now this is critical. What you have is an open window. They were doing construction on his home and he remembers that there were ladders outside, downstairs, that would give them access to come to his home. You could imagine how heightened that fear becomes when you see that.
And he turns and sees this locked door.
He doesn't know that Riva's in the bathroom at all. And if he's screaming at that time, Riva, call the police or get help. He's screaming for help. It would be plausible that at that time, she locks the door in the bathroom. He now fires the shots.
The prosecution would say, why do you need to shoot through a door if you've got your would-be burglar trapped?
Because ultimately, it's a matter of vulnerability. It's a matter of state of mind. You don't want to wait for that someone to end you.
But how would the defense explain the neighbors overhearing the couple arguing before shots were fired?
What do you make of the ear witness and eyewitness accounts that lights were on, that arguing could be overheard?
We shouldn't jump to conclusions too quickly about that because we don't know what the content of the discussions was. Oscar could have been shouting. He could have been saying, someone's in the house. I need to know where you are, Riva.
Pistorius' legal team rejects ear witness accounts, saying those neighbors were more than a quarter of a mile away, inside their homes, making it nearly impossible to hear clearly. Plausible? Perhaps, but Pistorius still has a huge question to answer. Just how in the world did he grab his gun on the side of the bed without noticing Steenkamp was not in bed?
Now, what's very important here from a defense perspective is the context. We're talking about the dark of night. His attention, rightfully, is focused on what could be an intruder and the end of his life as well as her life.
And what about the presence of performance-enhancing drugs and the suspicion of roid rage? The defense countered that what they found was actually an over-the-counter herbal supplement.
And so when you have a lead detective who's spewing information that assists the prosecution but is outright false, it becomes problematic. It's not roid rage because they were not steroids.
But the central piece of evidence may turn out to be the ballistics.
The police are looking very carefully at the directionality of the rounds that were fired.
Bullet trajectory.
Yes, to see if it's likely that he was wearing his prosthetic legs or not.
The prosthetic legs are crucial. In the ultimate irony, police say the legs that brought him so far could knock him down. Pistorius swears he was not wearing them, that fearing an intruder, he rushed to the bathroom door on his stumps. Police say he is lying, that he had taken the time to put his legs on, had pursued Riva into the bathroom, and opened fire through the door.
They believe that he was about 5 feet from the toilet door and that he's shooting down. Very important, because that would mean that he had his prosthetic legs on. Ballistics are going to become absolutely crucial in the context of this case.
But perhaps that can be explained too.
In order to compensate for being down low, he could have certainly held the gun up so as to ensure that he got the person who was inside.
So Oscar and his defense team can still explain away a trajectory from top down.
Absolutely.
As the bail hearing proceeds,
I've argued a case. You know what I've seen. Thank you, guys.
the defense is about to go on the attack. Was the evidence tainted? And could it be that the only criminal in the courtroom is the lead investigator?